this video, I'm going to share with you how I turned $11,500 into over $39,000 back in 2016, and the story is going to shock you. So let's go back to 2015. 2015 is the year I got into sports cards. I was introduced to it to my friend who lived across town, and I was having fun doing it. I was just getting into college. I was making about $1,000, maybe $2,000 a month. Now, fast forward to 2016. I transferred from University at Albany to University of Rutgers in New Jersey, and it was my first semester there. It was October of 2016, and I was pledging a fraternity. And for those of you guys that know that how pledging a fraternity goes, right, they make you do all sorts of stupid things. They make you stay up really late. So it was one of those late nights. I was getting back to my house at about 2 a.m. after them making us do a bunch of stupid things, like getting food for all the frat brothers, and I had a decision to make. So I got back to my house, and I said, I could either go to bed now, and I could be up for my 8 a.m. class, which was an accounting class, or I could look at sports cards, which is what I usually did at night. I would go on eBay, Facebook, Instagram, look at cards, buy and sell things. That's how I was making money at the moment. I made the wise decision to look at sports cards, thankfully. Honestly, my class at Rutgers was like 300 people. You couldn't even learn anything anyways. The teacher barely spoke English. So I went on eBay, started doing my usual thing, found a couple cards, and for some weird reason, I don't know why I did this still to this day, because I have never done it since. I went on Craigslist, okay? Never thought of doing it. I was like, oh, let me see what could happen. And for those of you guys that know how to work Craigslist, the way you search for things is by area. So you could search for things in San Francisco or New Jersey or Texas or Montana, right? It's not a national search. So I went on Craigslist and I typed in sports cards. And I started clicking around in different states and cities. I clicked on South Carolina, New Jersey, New York, and I clicked on Connecticut. I believe it was Southern Connecticut is what I clicked on. And I found a list of a bunch of old sports cards. And at this time, I knew nothing about old sports cards. My knowledge on them is still not great to this day. Usually what I deal with is modern sports cards. Now, found all these old sports cards, knew nothing about it. Obviously, I knew who the players were, like Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, but I didn't know anything about how the vintage game worked. And I contacted my friend, the one who got me into sports cards back in 2015. He was going to University of Pittsburgh. And I called him, I sent him pictures of what I found, and I was like, what do you think of this? This looks pretty interesting. I've never seen anything like this. And his first thought was it's fake. So he took pictures of the card, sent it to his other friend, who verified the cards looked real, and he started looking through it. And he was like, I think you may have found a gold mine. We have to find this. We have to go get it. We have to buy it. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. Sounds like we'll be able to make some money. So he drove from University of Pittsburgh, and we met in our hometown of Wayne, New Jersey, which is northern New Jersey. And we met together, and we drove up to a town called Torrington, Connecticut. Okay? And we met this guy whose Craigslist listing it was, and he owned a shop called Mother's. His name was Jack. And he had all these old cards he showed us, and it was some unbelievable stuff. And this guy, Jack, who owned this sports card shop, told us the story of how he got these cards. It was a family in Connecticut who had this grandpa that passed away, and he had all these old cards. The family didn't want anything to do with it, so they gave it to Jack, the local collectible guy who owned this shop in town. And Jack said he'd get the stuff graded, flip it, and make money, but he wanted to retire. He had tons of inventory, like crazy comic book stuff, original Spider-Man, Hulk, just insane stuff. And we're like, okay, that sounds great. You know, we're looking to make money. We're young and hungry. And he showed us what he had, and it was unbelievable. It was crazier than the pictures, even what I could think of, or like even what I saw in the pictures. It was nuts. And just to kind of give you some things to conceptualize, or some things to look at, or some things to kind of, think about as to what we were looking at. So one of the big things in the lot of cards he had 3 1953 Mickey Mantle cards. Now, Mickey Mantle's best card is his 1952 Topps. That's the holy grail of sports cards. That's like the most expensive sports card. A grade of 10, it's probably worth $15 to $20 million. Now, he had his 1953 Mickey Mantle. These cards were in rough condition, probably graded a 2 or a 3, and they were probably worth anywhere between $600 to $800 at the time, back in 2016. However, this grandpa that used to own the cards actually brought these 3 1953 Topps Mickey Mantle cards and got them signed, okay? And this is what they look like. It was crazy, okay? Actually signed were like, is this really real? We sent a picture to a couple friends, and they said, this looks real. And we were going through some of the other stuff. He had like 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantles, which is just crazy, 1933 Gowdy Babe Ruths, Hank Aaron rookies, so much stuff, it was ridiculous. I didn't know anything about vintage cards up to that point, and I knew we were sitting on a gold mine. And as we were going through the cards, Jack, the card shop owner, he didn't even realize how much he had. We had to tell him, like, hey, do you know you have like 4 Hank Aaron rookies in a row, like sitting right here? And he's like, oh, I didn't know that, thanks for telling me. And what we did is we were like, okay, we'll buy it. So we asked Jack how much he wanted, and he said $15,000 is how much he wanted. And me and Dylan walked out of the shop, and we talked, and we're like, you know, how much should we pay? And we came to the agreement that we'd pay $10,000. Came back in the shop, we said we'll pay 10 grand. Jack was like, I'll do 13. And we're like, so we walked back out of the shop, thought about it, came back with another offer, and after doing that a couple times, we came to the agreement of $11,500. That's how much we paid for this big lot of cards. And this was in the middle of the school week. I had exams and stuff, but I just canceled everything. I took all these cards back home. We went to my friend Dylan's house and we dissected everything. And what we did is we put it into 2 different lots of cards. So we got together about 100 cards that we thought would be worth grading. And these were cards that we thought were at least over $100. So we put that in one pile. Then there were like probably 1,000 cards in another pile that were junk stuff, $2, $5, $10, stuff that's not worth getting graded because there's a grading fee attached, right? You have to pay $30, $40, $50 to get a card graded at the time. I honestly forget how much it cost us, but so a $2 card doesn't make sense to get graded. So we took this lot of junk cards and we sold it off to the person who was helping us out verify that these cards were real, and he paid us $6,000 for the junk lot. So paid $11,500, $6,000 got knocked off right away. We sold all these junk cards out. Now we sent in these 100 plus cards to get graded. So $1,500 it cost us to get these cards graded. And it took about 2 to 3 months to come back to us, and it was unbelievable the results we got. Just, you know, crazy stuff like 1955 tops, like Mays PSA 8s, like crazy stuff. Some of these grades were way higher than we expected. A lot of the bigger cards didn't grade high, like the Hank Aaron rookies. We had like 4 or 5 of them were graded like 2s and 3s. We had a 1951 Bowman Mickey Mantle that was graded at 1.5, a miscut that we sold for about $2,000. We had a 1933 Gowdy Ruth that was a PSA 1. But you know how it works with vintage cards is a PSA 1 could be $3 grand, but a PSA 2 could be $6 grand. But the most important thing is that all these cards got graded, which means they're authenticated, they're real. Old cards are a lot of times fabricated, a lot of times they're faked, because people don't really know what to look for with these older cards. So we're happy it was all real, and we sold all the cards to people we knew on Facebook. We raffled some of them on Facebook, sold them on Instagram, brought them to card shows, sold them all over the place. And we ended up selling everything for about $39,500, everything with the junk lot. So we sold everything for $39,500. We paid $11,500. The grading fee was about $1,500, so we were into it for about $13,000. So overall, we made a little over $26,000, me and my friend, which is a good amount of money, but it's not life-changing money. But it changed my whole perspective on things. I was like, wow, like, you know, I understand we got a little bit lucky getting into this lot of cards. It probably may not happen again, but now I have some money to work with. Now I have some money to play with, and I took it, I reinvested, I started going really hard, because in sports cards, the more money you have, the more money you can make, just like stocks or anything in life, right? So this really helped propel me and helped me pay for a lot of school, and it really helped me get out of college, eventually, you know, working for myself, which was pretty cool. But I hope you enjoy this story. I have tons of great, crazy stories about traveling the country and doing all sorts of crazy things with sports cards. If you enjoyed it, I have way better stuff than this to show you. Like, comment, subscribe. I try to respond to my comments as much as possible. Do you have any questions on what happened? Let me know. Comment, subscribe, like. I'll see you in the next video.